This is it, the Hyundai Elantra Turbo Sport 1.6. I'm gonna show you guys what happens if you walk near your car. This car is for those who are looking. So I finally picked up the car for the weekend. Elantra Turbo Sport 1.6. This is the key. Looks like leather wrap, but it's actually not. Vroom. A lot of beeping noise. This is it, the Hyundai Elantra Turbo Sport 1.6. Thank you very much for Hyundai Malaysia for arranging my ride for the weekend. I'm so sorry about the voice, I'm actually down with a sore throat, but the show has to go on. So if you did watch my video last week, I brought the Audi A4 Quattro up to Genting, and I still remember those memories vividly in my mind. It was such an awesome drive. But as of this current moment, I don't have any plans yet for this car during this weekend. I might bring this car somewhere, but that depends, I'll just play by ear. But whether or not I bring this car anywhere this weekend, the whole point of you watching this video is because you want to know how is it like to live with this particular car. So I'll definitely talk to you about the notable features about this car, the driving experience, and also show you around the car a bit, as well as likes and dislikes of this car throughout my experience of living with it. Before we continue, if you like my type of videos, you can support me by subscribing to my channel so I can feature more cars for you in the future. And also next week I'm going to be featuring a Mercedes-Benz. If you want to know which model is that going to be, follow my Instagram profile. I post all my updates on my upcoming contents on my Instagram profile, so you might want to follow that if you want to know in advance. And everything is going to be in the description, so just look out for it. So let's go. What do you think of the color? The color is the first thing that you would notice, right, in this car? It's been getting a lot of attention. I realize a lot of people have been looking at this car, you know. I don't know what were they thinking about when they look at this car, whether is it nice, appealing, or they just find it irked at it. It's called blazing yellow actually. Well, it depends on personal perspective of whether you think it's yellow or gold. I think it's gold.
I think it's yellow.
I actually posted the Insta story to ask, a poll to ask what do you think of this color. I haven't seen the results yet. It will be interesting to see what is it like.
It looks like very cloudy.
Thank you.
Yellow.
Everything feels very solid actually. But when you try to feel around in the cabin, right, there's actually a lot of plastics on, you know. The only part that's not plastic is this part. Other than that, everything is hard plastic. And this thing right here is actually fake carbon fiber. This line across the four doors. Even the door handle is actually plastic. It's
I don't like cars that do this kind of color
combination
thing.
Yeah, you realize that, right? Yeah, they want to make it look sporty. I mean, it doesn't appeal to me also actually. Most important thing I think people want to know is whether the leathers are comfortable. Do you think it's comfortable?
Yeah,
I personally don't really fancy it.
a bit hard.
But I heard quite a few comments from some people that the seats are actually very comfortable. They hug you in place and not really uncomfortable. Some sporty seats, right, it's actually very uncomfortable one if you realize. I need to get across to the other side. That's actually a blind spot monitoring, you know. It will actually light up if you turn on your indicators, and if there's a car in your blind spot, it will actually beep. That only happens if your indicators are on. It makes sense, right? So that it doesn't beep all the time whenever a car passes by in your blind spot. There. If I don't turn on the indicators, right, only the light will light up.
That's a good thing.
You know, some very notable things about this car is that it's actually a 7-speed dual clutch eco shift transmission. I've driven quite a lot of dual clutch, but this doesn't seem to jerk in traffic. I don't know whether you realize that. It's quite smooth. Oh my god, people drive like crazy about this. So yeah, so it doesn't jerk. Although you still feel slight. I mean, it is still not as smooth as a normal transmission, but it's way better than a lot of dual clutches, at least from my opinion.
How much is this car?
131,000. This particular variant. This is
What's the difference between this and the normal one?
So there are actually 3 variants. One, I mean the cheapest one is a totally different car because the engine is so different. The mid-range one is actually same engine, but the styling and everything is different in the car.
Elantra not very cheap.
But then this is a C segment. This is not a B segment. It's not against Almera that range one. This is against Civic and Altis.
Huh?
So
That's
if
not
you
pretty.
the design is so, I find it impressive, at least this
I don't like
particular one.
Elantra's design.
But this is a newer one. No? This is the one that I saw in US and I fell in love that time. I saw it on a commercial actually. I don't know whether I told you when I was in Virginia. It does look very sleek, and even the tail lamps, they also make it more sleek rather than the more round shape. At times, right, if I look at it from at an angle, I realize this car looks something like a BM or a Lexus. So anyway, other than the transmission thing that you will notice that is really smooth, you get 200 horsepower in this engine, 264 Newton meters of torque. That's actually very fast. If you look at it properly, 131,000, if you compare it with a top of the range Civic or even Altis, if you're looking for a car in a C segment range with a lot of power, this is probably the only one at the moment. 200 horsepower is no joke. Does fly. The brakes can handle it as well. The front brakes is actually bigger than the back brakes by 1 inch. But anyway, the design does seem quite modern, especially the steering wheel, flat bottom one. Do you realize that?
Are you very tight?
Nope. Why? Well, I adjusted my seat to be like this. I think I find it quite comfortable. There's lumbar support as well, and my seats are adjusted electronically. But your seat, right, is manual one,
What do you mean manual?
It is manual. You didn't realize that? Manual. You don't find any switches.
Oh. Why? Cut costs.
Yeah, cut costs. Just like the netting, the back of the seats actually have nettings one, This car, the back of the driver's seat doesn't get it one, Only your side. You see, I don't have anything here.
Why? They don't want you to put anything to affect the drivers, is it?
No lah. Cut cost ma. You save one netting, right? That netting can be used on another car, another Elantra. And why they put it on your side, I assume it's because of to make it convenient for the driver to get something. Oh, and to make it sportier, right? There's actually sport embroidered in the seats. Actually has a keyless system. I'm gonna show you guys what happens if you walk near your car. The car is currently locked. The proximity sensor will actually sense that you are near the car and will fold out the wing mirror. Another thing is that if your car is locked, you can actually come to the back, like right now. See? I did not press anything. There's actually a proximity sensor that would sense that you are near the car boot, and after 3 beeps, it will actually pop up, but the problem is, it pop up halfway. You have to push it up. So imagine if your hands is full, right? It can be quite inconvenient. You have to push it up some more. So this is the boot space. It's actually decent. And another thing, the keyless system in this, it doesn't work by touching the back of the door handle. You have to physically press a button on the door handle. So anyway, let me just put some stuff in the back seat. And since we're at the back seat, right? The back seat is actually quite slanted. If you can see that, that's actually very good. I find it very comfortable. It is also very spacious back here. You can fit 3 adults easily. And leg room, just to show you guys, is actually quite good as well. Look at that. This is something that I found when I picked up the car that day. I think it's something to tell you about the dual clutch transmission as it's mentioned here. But one of the things that I want to highlight is actually this particular point right here. Aggressive launches on steep grades may result in overheating. So it's something to take note of. I heard that the dual clutch in this car is actually a dry clutch, so I assume this is just a precaution that owners should take note of. The door is kind of light. Sometimes you have to slam it harder to close it. There is some rattling noise which I'm not sure where is it coming from. That sound is really annoying. So let's talk a bit about this car. This engine that you get in this car is actually a 1.6 turbocharged engine that churns out 200 horsepower and 264 Newton meters torque. It is definitely fast, but one thing I would advise owners or people who drive this car is to be careful, because obviously this car is actually a light car, so putting a 200 horsepower engine into a car like this, you can imagine the power to weight ratio. The car does feel very floaty at high speeds, above 130. Okay, something is really rattling in here. Oh, it's this sun visor. So the engine is actually mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, EcoShift dual clutch transmission. Since they have the word EcoShift there, I really trust them on being efficient in this car. This car actually has EV status. I'm actually quite impressed at the fuel economy because I didn't really drive this car sedately. And after driving this car for 4 days and I've driven for about 288 kilometers, my fuel economy is actually 8.6 liters per 100 kilometers. Seriously, I didn't drive this car sedately, so I'm quite impressed at the fuel economy. So this car actually has blind spot monitoring, but I believe the blind spot monitoring doesn't work at low speeds. You are free to correct me on that, but as far as my user experience is, I don't see it coming on when I'm at low speeds. Or maybe there's a bug in this, I don't know lah. But really, past few days at traffic jams, it doesn't come on at all. Oh, right now I'm above 35 km per hour. It actually came on. So I think it only works above 30 km per hour based on my experience. Other than just indicating that there's a car at your blind spot, whenever you're at a high speed and you want a lane change, like so, I turn on my indicator, there's actually a car in my blind spot. It will actually beep and let me know that there's a car right there. So it's actually a good thing, remind you not to simply change lane. Brakes are decent as well. They can stop you, although it feels kind of spongy. Maybe that's just my personal opinion. Steering wise, I really like the design of the steering, especially that it's flat bottom, makes it really sporty. The material feels nice as well, nothing to shout about, and you get perforated leather at the side and 9 and 3 indentations. Is actually quite ergonomic. And this band right here, I believe I mentioned at the beginning of the video as well, this is actually in red, but in the Ioniq. For your info, this is the same steering wheel that you get in the Ioniq, but in the Ioniq, this is actually blue. The band right here, I don't know whether you can, I think you can see it. Yeah. So on the steering wheel, you actually get controls for your multimedia and communications on the left. On the right, it's actually controls for your cruise control as well as controls for you to navigate and configure your settings in the instrument panel. Steering feels sharp and tight. There is some weight to the steering wheel, which I love it. I don't really like steering wheels. Some people may think that it's easy to drive with a light steering wheel, but this is really tight and sharp, direct. And to make things sporty, you even get red leather stitching on the steering wheel, I mean in the inner wheel. And coming on to the driving position, I'm actually able to find my preferred seating position, and the seats are actually kind of comfy. I think I mentioned this, I don't really like the leather on the seat, but contour wise and the structure of the seat is actually very comfortable. I would actually call them semi-sport seats. They are just right at holding you in place, not the really extreme sporty seat type. And the seats actually come with lumbar support, although I don't really fancy it because it's at fixed height. I can't really adjust the height of the lumbar support. Wow. 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 Crazy ass.
Both was
wow.
Is it?
What lah? Drive like his father's road.
No,
like
drive.
that.
He drove like he could predict.
Yeah lah. Wow, it's so smooth. I don't know why, I feel like it's very smooth right now.
New roads.
Oh yeah. So we just had lunch. Unfortunately, it's kind of late, so I don't think we are going anywhere special this weekend. Let's just see how the acceleration is in sport mode. Oh, it's so smooth, you know. I mean, the gear changes in high speed. One of the most important aspects that you guys want to know is the sound insulation in this car. The sound insulation is actually quite good. The only sound that I find kind of intrusive is the tire noise, which I don't think is because of the insulation itself, but more on the tires, because these tires that you have on this car is actually low profile. Well, they are meant to give you a more sporty ride, which I'm not really a fan of, honestly, because they are loud and I can really feel every single minute bumps on the road. Even if the road is not really in terrible condition, you could easily rectify that with a new set of tires, but I don't think a lot of people will do that kind of thing. You buy a new car and then change tires on it. That beeping was the proximity thing. You have to press the button. See, it's actually kind of troublesome. Not like the usual smart key access thing. Alright, since we're in this parking spot, I can show you guys that you actually have, oh my god, there's so much beeping. You have front sensors, which is good for parking like this. Oh gosh, and there's the reverse camera. Not exactly clear, but it does its job. So I want to put something in the boot. Totally don't have to touch the key. It's a bummer that you have to lift it up only. It doesn't open all the way. I know guys, this has been quite an uneventful weekend or video, but at least I got to experience the car quite a bit and tell you how it feels like driving this car. Now, if you've been watching the whole video till now and you are still wondering who would actually buy this car, let me just tell you my humble opinion on that. This car is for those who are looking for a car that has a lot of power, in this case 200 horsepower, and still be reasonable. Now, I did not mention this, but this car is actually 131,000. It may seem like a lot, but if you compare it with its competitors, who else in this segment will actually offer you 200 horsepower? And not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, currently they have a promo that provides you 3 years of free scheduled maintenance on top of the 5-year warranty. Of course, it's not all about the power only. In my humble opinion as well, the drive experience of this car does feel better than its direct competitors in terms of steering as well as power. Just bear in mind, having 200 horsepower, it doesn't mean that you have to use all of it all the time. It is there for you whenever you need it. Not to mention, the other advantage that you get with this sort of power is the fuel economy. I think I told you guys earlier that I got 8.6 litre per 100 kilometer. Right now I'm at 8.4. It is really impressing me. But to be fair, every car does has its downsides, and the two most obvious downsides that I could spot in this car, number one is the build quality. I could hear a bit of rattling here and there, but it's not a major thing. It's really nitpicking, but it is there. You could notice it. Number two is the ride comfort, which I mentioned, I'm quite certain it's because of the tires. Let me know in the comments if you would actually choose this car, or if you would not, which other models you will actually choose and why. And again, if you like my type of videos, do support me by subscribing to my channel, and I'll definitely post more videos. There will also be a silent POV video of this car, so stay tuned for that video, which will upload it the week after this. So thank you very much for watching guys. Tune in next week. See you soon.